Hi, MRK here, back with another video, and as you may have already noticed, 5.3, Unreal Engine 5.3 just came out, well, I think yesterday, but anyway, 5.3 dropped and it has some nice updates to state trees. And some of those updates, well, some of those changes are not actually listed in the documentation page or in release notes of 5.3, but if you use state trees, then you already see those changes. And if you don't use 5.3, this video will probably convince you to change to 5.3 just because of state trees. Because now it behaves more like behavior trees, which is very, very nice. So let's not drag out this video too much and let's jump into the action. So first thing first, we've got a happy cube here. So if we play, the happy cube will play some animations, and everything here is done in Engine because of skeletal mesh editor that is released with 5.3. And that happy cube, that skeletal mesh and the animation is done purely in Engine. Well, it's not the point of the video, but I'm just gonna drop a few things that are interesting but not really the topic, but you probably should research that because it's very, very cool. And in that happy cube, we add a state tree, of course, you already know that. How to do that, how to enable, it's all in the previous videos I made. If you didn't watch it, please watch them before that video. And we open state tree. And you already can see that the UI has been a little bit reworked. We got those little bars and icons that tells you if the tree, if the node is a leaf node or it has children. So now if we have a test state, which is a parent, and actually a leaf state, and we add a child state to that, then now it changes to that icon signaling that it has some leaf states. So very, very nice. That's the first change. Second change is that we can now break on enter and on exit. Very nice feature if you want to debug your state tree. Another thing that is actually listed in the release notes is that we can enable and disable states. So similarly to what we have with nodes, normal nodes in blueprints. I don't know if I have, oh yeah, I have it. So Alt D for me, but you can change it, of course, for something else. I'm not quite sure how it's called. Disable node. Yeah, disable nodes. I have Alt D, but yeah, you can change it here. So in blueprints we can disable nodes, and now in state trees we also can disable those states. So if it's not enabled, then it just skips it like it's not there. Very nice for testing purposes. And when we want to enable it, just click enable. That's that. Okay, next change. Change that wasn't listed in the release notes is selection behavior. One thing that I think was missing, and they wanted to do that but didn't until now, is that we can select parent nodes. So in the 5.2, if that node had a child state, that node couldn't be selected. I mean, the code would still run, but the node, well, the state, how did I call those states before? Well, never mind. Let's just call it selection state, maybe, or state. I don't know. It's kind of weird because you have types here, right? Which is state, group link, subtree, and stuff like that. So you can easily get confused if you use word state here because it's gonna be used a lot. Anyway, if that was a parent state and it had a child state, then that code, that task could be run, but the node itself could not be selected. So some tasks just wouldn't run because the output of that state would always be completed. It could not be running. Right? So now with that selection behavior, we can pick what do we want to do with that state. We have none, so that's the default selection behavior from 5.2. So the node cannot be selected, it just selects from leaf state. And if we select that on the leaf state, then it just keeps it, right? We cannot select it, but probably we can still run some tasks, but can't select it directly. Another thing is try enter. So now that state can be selected, even if it has leaf states. Then we have try select children in order, so it selects only from children states. And then we have try follow transition, which means don't select it, just use the transition on that state to trigger a transition to another state. So very nice feature. I use try select children in order usually because I'm used to how it worked in 5.2, but no doubt try enter would be useful too. Okay, let's delete that one. And yeah, you can already see this is a little bit changed, how it looks. It looked a little bit different before. And now you have some debug options, which you can also break on enter and exit on tasks. Very, very cool. But one feature, please, if you are watching this, somebody from Epic, please add option to edit this task right from the stage tree. Or just, you know, have an option like, where is it? Okay, we have to have some pickable asset. Let's say material, let's change it to material instance, for example. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, we have a drop down and we have a little button that says browse to asset in content browser. Or you can just double click and it opens the actual, you know, task. And now we still can't do that. So Epic, if you're watching this, and it seems like you do because you changed everything I asked for until now, then please add that little thing in 5.4 that, you know, just double click that or just pick to find it in the browser. So you can just, you know, open the editor, edit it right away and don't wait, right? Okay, so that's my wish for 5.4 and let's move on. That's all of the changes from the stage tree main panel. And now let's move to STT test, which is my, well, a little experiment to test if everything works properly. And that the experiment consists of two tests, one test and one test output. So on the first leaf state of root, okay, we got STT test, which has a label that says should succeed. And this is the test. And I know I kind of briefly showed it before, but now here it is. Finish task. What a wonderful little node that we needed right away and finally got it. Finish task is what we what we know from behavior trees. We don't have to select states from running, unused, everything like that, because we don't need it. When the state is entered, it defaults to running, right? And if we want to complete it, we just finish task. If it succeeds, if it doesn't, it just moves on. Awesome feature. finally we got that. And in my test, I just made a new variable, should succeed, which is instance editable, and now I can, test it from here if it succeeds or not. Another change. Now we don't have functions. Like we don't need any return values. So every enter, exit, stuff like that, tick is now an event. Awesome feature. Awesome feature. I love it. Absolutely amazing. Now if we, want to have an enter state, then we just override enter state and it shows as an event. And if you are migrating from 5.2, then you probably have that as a function, and it will tell you in compiler results that it is now deprecated, and you should switch to the event one. And of course use the finish task because the return value is deprecated as well. I mean, it's not really deprecated, but it's not used in functions, just as a succeeded or not in that finish task. Okay, so let's move on to the test output. We got test output test output and it just, a very simple stuff. On enter state, we want to change the material. Of course, I could cast and change the material that way, but I just made a very simple interface in our happy cube that says, set material to whatever we pick, and on success, if it's, passed, then we change it to green, if not, then red, and it's using actually a new, well, not very new, but now usable with blueprints, view model that is a nice tool to bind variables in UMG. I actually don't use it in my project because there is something wrong with it. I'm not gonna go into details what's wrong with it now, but generally you could use it and it's almost good, I would say. And if you want a separate video on view models, then let me know. If you want a sneak peek on how the view model works, you just go to a HUD or whatever widget you want, and you have, view models. In view models, you have some variables. It can be also functions, and you don't bind in the details panel anymore. You don't have that button. Just use that new window to bind stuff. Quite cool, but it's not the topic of the video. If you want to know more, let me know in the comments below. But let's go back to state trees. Anyway, purpose of this is showing on screen that we succeeded or failed. And let's run the test. Now we have should succeed, so this should finish task with code success. We can move on. And as this executed successfully, and our happy cube it's a very little happy cube with a green color, nice. And if we change it to false, then it's red, and it doesn't, it failed. It didn't successfully execute it. So that's pretty much all of the changes in state trees, or at least every change that I deemed important and visible, usable in the editor. Okay, one last thing, one last wish. If somebody from Epic is watching me, please make properties editable from blueprints. Please, I beg you. I mean, come on, man. Like, it would be nice, but I don't find a use for that in component, in just a component, right? I need a way to just pick that component, you know, get a property or parameter, whatever, and just change it, right? It has no options. It has no options, unfortunately. Where is it? Gameplay, right? Stage 3. Unfortunately, we just have those 3 and binds, right? But we need a way to change those properties in runtime. So please, that's my second wish. If you do those 2 things, I think the system will be perfect, honestly. And you can leave it like that. But that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something. Hope somebody from Epic is watching this. And that's it. Until next video, bye bye.